Morning everyone, it's sunrise here in Hong Kong, and I'm here with Charles. We're just about to get on the train and go across the border to Shenzhen. Our partner over there, the manufacturing partner, has a factory in Vietnam as well, as you know, but the R&D is done here. They also make for some other household brands, so we're interested to see that. We've got the final board we know is ready for us to test. We know that that's got some new features on it that we know people want, but we haven't promised, so we're excited to share that later on today. And yeah, it's all systems go. Hopefully we'll get across the border into China fine, because it's still, although this Hong Kong is actually now part of China, we still have to go through a second immigration phase, and the factory waiting for us. So we'll take you along for the ride. See you soon.
So while we're on our way, I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you very much for your patience in waiting for this update. I know it's taken a little bit longer than perhaps the text update would have done, but we decided on this slightly unconventional way of doing it because, well, three reasons really. Firstly, we know that there's been at least one earbud creator on Kickstarter that looks like it won't deliver, which has damaged backer confidence a lot. So we wanted to do more than just a wordy update, but bring you into the process so that you can be totally confident that we're going to deliver the best possible version of Somni to you. The second reason was we wanted to introduce you to our manufacturing partner. We're going to be completely open about who they are and why we picked them, because we think that will only add to your confidence as it's given us confidence. And lastly, we wanted to give you an insight into the process that we're going through, share the feedback we've had from some of your fellow backers during the Kickstarter campaign, and how we've listened to that feedback and taken it into account in order to improve Somni and bring you the best possible version of it. So here we're currently on our way to a manufacturing partner called MindWing, and we'll include a link to their website with this update so you can have a little look. We picked MindWing because, well, firstly, as you'll see from their website, they're very experienced in bringing new innovations to manufacture. They had a large team of technical engineers with vast experience and knowledge, which was invaluable when adding features that weren't included in our original prototype. Importantly for us, they're capable of handling all aspects of the process, from concept right through to packaging delivery. And that's important because we know from speaking to other creators that dealing with multiple factories in China dilutes accountability. So we didn't want to get into a situation where different factories were blaming each other for a quality control issue or some hold-up. Of course, it was essential that they had the facility to make an extremely high-quality product, and MindWing already make for some household names such as Bosch, HTC, and even GoPro. Last but not least, they also have a factory in Vietnam, and in this time where tariffs are being very volatile, that's a useful facility in case there are any punitive tariffs added for deliveries from China. So on arrival, we didn't waste any time. We got right down to it. As promised, our board was ready and we hooked it up and we started testing it, and it worked great. And then we went through the features that we'd had requested as a result of the Kickstarter campaign and the feasibility of adding those to the board. So I'd like to start with our most frequently requested and most exciting feature, which, if you were eagle-eyed and you looked at our 3D render on the VIP Facebook group, you will have noticed this tiny little circle which says My. And yes, this microphone actually gives us two new features. The first one is active noise cancellation. Now, as we explained a few times during the campaign, active noise cancellation is not normally that useful for blocking out noises at night, because it doesn't really work very well on non-repeating sounds, such as snoring or a noisy neighbour or something. But it does work very well on repeating sounds, such as an air conditioning unit or a fridge or, a PC or something that's making a hum. So we wanted to include it if it was possible, and we found out it is possible by adding this small microphone which will detect the noise and then produce the opposing wave for you. So an ANC chip has now been included in the board, and we're very excited about that because we know that lots of people wanted it. And the bonus feature of that little microphone is that it can also act as a hands-free microphone. So let's say you're listening to the news in bed in the morning and a call comes in, you'll be able to pick the call up, leave your Somni buds in your ears and speak to the caller through that little mic as you would with a hands-free Bluetooth speaker. Now, several people told us that they didn't like the idea of leaving their phone paired all night. Sometimes it was because they were tempted to end up doom scrolling and that didn't help with their sleep pattern. And sometimes it was simply that they had some white noise or a playlist that they liked to regularly listen to and didn't feel the need to have Bluetooth connected all night long. So if you spin the box around the other side, you will see there is now an SD card slot on there. That means we've included an audio decoding chip on the board, which decodes MP3, WAV, FLAC files, all of the usual audio files. So you can create your own playlist, store it onto an SD card, pop it in there, and you will not need to pair your Bluetooth device with the SomniMate if you just want to play from that playlist. Of course, if you're not using your phone to control the playback, we needed to give you the ability to do that. So we have now included forward, backwards, play, pause, skip track buttons all on the top of the SomniMate to control the playlist on the SD card. Now, having that screen up brings me nicely to the next feature, which is a digital signal processing chip. What we found was that some people like to listen to audiobooks where you need a slightly brighter audio sound if you're listening at low volume, which is the preferred thing to do if you're trying to get to sleep. And other people prefer to listen to a brown noise or a white noise or a certain type of music that needs a richer or higher contrast sound. And for that, you need to have digital signal processing. You'll see it as just bass and treble, but it is more than that because it adds the richness and the sound profile without actually degrading the audio quality. So there's a digital signal processing chip on the motherboard. So we have three other more minor features that I'd like to tell you about. The first is a dark mode. Several people told us that they find LEDs very distracting at night. We do need them, of course, because we need a power indicator light and we need a Bluetooth indicator light so you know when your device is paired. But when you're finished with them and it's time to sleep, you'll be able to turn them all off so that you won't be distracted at night by any blinking or shining LEDs. The next feature is really just a safety feature. You may have read that we managed to redesign the Somni earbuds to make them much more sensitive, and thereby we could reduce the output from the SomniMate and solve the problem of the mat getting slightly warm, which was something that was noticed only in a very early prototype. So now in the SomniMat there is a temperature sensor which will prevent the mat from getting warm under any circumstances. Which brings me to the last backer request, which was to simply have some eyelets on the SomniMat so that if you decided on the option of hanging the SomniMat on the back of your headboard, it would be simple to do. So the inclusion of these features, of course, raised a question, and the question was, do we proceed with the board that we have ready now and then bring out a version 2 as soon as possible with the new features added? Or do we redesign the board right away and bring the new version to people who have already pledged? Of course, the most important question in order to be able to answer that would be how much more time would it take to redesign the board now? So we asked MindWing that question and we're going to share their response with you. As you're probably aware, the Somni system consists of 3 parts: the Somni earbuds, the SomniMate, the box that you connect to, the SomniMat, and in fact there's a 4th part which is the Somni power supply. We can't use an off-the-shelf power supply because there's some additional features in there, so we had to develop that as well. The good news is that, as you'll see from the above, MindWing had the resources to be able to develop all 4 parts concurrently, which means that the additional time required is not as long as you might imagine. In fact, they're saying they can get a final prototype to us by the 8th of January, and that's for all 4 parts. Now, as soon as we have the final prototype with the new features, it goes through to a small production run factory where we make somewhere between 10 and 20 units in order to check the manufacturing process and the quality control. And as soon as that's complete, it's ready to go through to the mass production factory. Now, we visited the mass production factory, and unfortunately, because of confidentiality for other products that are being made in there, we can't show you around. But I would like to describe to you what it's like, because it really is quite incredible. You'll see this picture of us just outside in these particularly fetching outfits. Going into the factory was a bit like going into an operating theatre. You'll see behind us there's a kind of airlock where they blast you with high pressure air to make sure there's no dust particles on you. Inside are large production lines of automated robots where components are loaded into kind of machine gun style magazines and placed automatically onto the board, washed over with solder. They're then checked by artificial intelligence. Parts are delivered by small artificial intelligence robots. In fact, I was standing at the end of one of the production lines where one came up and bleeped me, standing behind me, asking to get past, which was quite entertaining. And at the end of the line, there is the result from all of the examination. And we were impressed to see that they had a 99.999% accuracy rate. The failure rate was unbelievably low. But this is a really high quality factory across 4 floors with nearly 1,000 staff. And they're making products for lots of very well known, very high end products. So we are extremely confident that we're going to get a fantastic quality product at the end. Now, the only other element we need to take into account is that the new board will have to go through CE approval again. That's not as bad as you might think. It normally takes about 4 weeks, and MindWing say that they think they might be able to rush it through for us. So given that we're not looking at huge delay, and the fact that personally I absolutely hate it if I buy something and then 2 months later they bring out something that's a lot better and want me to upgrade, we've decided to run with the updated version for the existing backers. Now, I appreciate that that might not have been the preferred solution for everybody, but we did do a straw poll and it was unanimous amongst those people that we asked. So I think in general it will be the preferred option and we have to go one way or the other. So that's what we've decided to do. So apologies for the small delay. I hope you think it's worthwhile. I hope you can see that we're trying to deliver the absolute best product that we can to you. Thanks very much once again for your support. If you have any questions, please do reach out to us at info@somnibuds.com and we will get back to you as soon as we can. And of course, we're going to keep you informed at every stage through from now until we start shipping. Thanks again.